History is full of famous cities. New York, Boston, Philadelphia, places almost everyone recognizes. But some of America's most important communities are rarely talked about. Across the country, determined families built entire towns from the ground up, not because it was easy, but because they wanted safety, opportunity, education, and the freedom to shape their own future. These towns became symbols of resilience. Some grew into thriving business centers. Some created remarkable schools. Some proved that communities could succeed despite enormous challenges. And while many eventually struggled because of economic change, natural disasters, or discriminatory policies, their legacy still lives on today. This video isn't about politics. It isn't about blame. It's about history. It's about learning from people who built something extraordinary, often with very little. So stay with me until the very end, because the final town may be one of the most influential places you've never heard of. 1. Mound Bayou, Mississippi. Mound Bayou was founded in 1887 by former slaves Isaiah Montgomery and Benjamin Green. Their vision was simple: create a place where black families could own land, run businesses, and govern themselves. For decades, the town became a symbol of independence. Banks opened, doctors established practices, schools expanded, farmers owned their fields. Psychologically, that kind of ownership changes everything. When families own homes, businesses, and land, they often gain greater stability and confidence. Financially, land ownership created opportunities that many elsewhere simply didn't have. Property could be passed from one generation to the next. Businesses kept money circulating within the community. But the reality was never easy. Agricultural markets changed, jobs became harder to find, young people left for larger cities, economic growth slowed. Even so, Mound Bayou remains one of the strongest examples of determination through self-reliance. 2. Eatonville, Florida. Many people know Orlando, few know Eatonville. Founded in 1887, it became one of America's first incorporated black municipalities. It later became famous as the hometown of writer Zora Neale Hurston. Education, culture, and local leadership became central to daily life. Residents invested in schools, churches, and civic organizations. Communities become stronger when people believe they belong. That feeling creates long-term stability. Financially, its location near growing Florida cities created opportunities, but rapid regional growth also brought pressure. Land values changed, development increased, smaller historic communities face new challenges. Today, Eatonville reminds us that preserving history often requires as much effort as creating it. 3. Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Although not technically an independent town, Greenwood deserves a place on this list. It became known as Black Wall Street. Banks, hotels, restaurants, movie theaters, doctors, lawyers, everything grew together. The lesson is powerful. Strong local businesses create strong communities. Money supporting nearby businesses often strengthens everyone. But Greenwood also teaches another lesson. Success alone doesn't guarantee security. Communities can still face enormous outside pressures. Its tragic destruction in 1921 remains one of the darkest chapters in American history, yet rebuilding efforts showed incredible resilience. The story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. 4. Nicodemus, Kansas. Nicodemus was founded in 1877 during the Great Exodus from the South. Families traveled hundreds of miles, searching for freedom, land, and opportunity. Life on the Kansas prairie was difficult, weather was harsh, resources were limited, farming required enormous effort. Psychologically, hope kept people moving forward, even when conditions became overwhelming. Financial success came slowly. Some families prospered, others struggled. Many eventually moved elsewhere. Today, Nicodemus stands as a reminder that building a future often begins with courage. 5. Allensworth, California. Colonel Allen Allensworth believed education could transform lives. In 1908, he helped establish Allensworth in California. The goal was ambitious, a self-sufficient farming community with excellent schools, strong leadership, and economic independence. Residents invested heavily in learning. They believed knowledge created opportunity. Unfortunately, water shortages, economic difficulties, and railroad decisions slowed growth. Sometimes success depends not only on hard work, but also on infrastructure beyond your control. That lesson still matters today.
6. Boley, Oklahoma. Boley quickly became one of the most successful black towns in America. It had banks, businesses, schools, newspapers, and a busy commercial district. Even Booker T. Washington praised its success. Economic diversity made the town stronger. It wasn't dependent on just one industry. That reduced financial risk. But over time, transportation patterns changed, jobs shifted, population declined. Communities, like businesses, must adapt as economies evolve. 7. Langston, Oklahoma. Langston became more than just a town. It became a center for higher education. Langston University, founded in 1897, continues to educate students today. Education creates long-term value. Skills often last longer than economic booms. Communities built around schools often remain resilient, even during difficult periods. Langston shows that investing in people can be just as important as investing in buildings. 8. Princeville, North Carolina. Princeville is one of America's oldest towns established by formerly enslaved people. Located near the Tar River, its location provided opportunities, but it also created serious risks. Major floods repeatedly damaged homes, businesses, and infrastructure. This teaches an important lesson: location matters. Even strong communities can struggle when natural risks become overwhelming. Recovery requires patience, planning, and remarkable resilience. 9. Weeksville, New York. Before Brooklyn became what we know today, Weeksville offered something rare: opportunity, education, political participation. Residents built churches, schools, businesses, and community organizations. Urban growth eventually absorbed the neighborhood, but its history survived. Sometimes communities disappear from maps, but never from history. 10. Buxton, Iowa. Coal mining brought opportunity to Buxton. Unlike many places during its time, workers often received equal pay regardless of race. Businesses flourished, families built stable lives, children attended good schools. But when coal demand declined, jobs disappeared, people moved away. Depending on one industry always carries risk. Diversification creates greater long-term stability. That lesson applies everywhere. 11. Deerfield, Colorado. Deerfield encouraged black families to become landowners in Colorado. The vision centered on farming, self-reliance, and opportunity. Land ownership has always represented more than property. It represents security, responsibility, and long-term planning. But drought, economic hardship, and changing migration patterns made survival difficult. Even the best plans sometimes face forces beyond human control. 12. Rosewood, Florida. Rosewood is remembered for tragedy, but also for resilience. Before 1923, it was a growing community. Families owned homes, businesses operated successfully, children attended school. Then violence destroyed nearly everything. The physical town disappeared, but its story did not. Today, Rosewood reminds us why preserving history matters, because forgotten stories can still teach powerful lessons, and communities deserve to be remembered. Final reflection. History isn't only about famous presidents or famous cities. It's also about ordinary people who built extraordinary communities. These 12 places remind us that success requires vision, hard work, education, strong families, and long-term thinking. They also remind us that no community exists in isolation. Economic change, natural disasters, and outside forces can reshape even the strongest towns. So here's a question we're thinking about. What kind of community are we helping build today? What legacy will future generations inherit from us? And what stories are we overlooking right now that deserve to be remembered? The greatest lesson from these towns isn't simply that they existed. It's that ordinary people, working together, can create something that history never forgets. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed learning about these remarkable communities, consider subscribing for more stories that reveal the overlooked history behind America's people, places, and ideas. And until next time, keep learning, because history often hides its greatest lessons where the fewest people are looking.